Hi, I'm Mike Scott, volunteer at the Old Lowlight Heritage Centre, North Shields. Today I would like to talk about Rook's plan of North Shields and Tynemouth, published in 1827, and which is displayed on the first floor landing of our Heritage Centre. John Rook and Son were land surveyors, with an office located in Bedford Lane, North Shields. The engraver, William Pybus, had his workshop at 24 St Nicholas Churchyard, Newcastle. Pybus was a well-known engraver on Tyneside, patronised by artists such as Thomas Miles Richardson. The plan reproduced in the Old Lowlight is from a rare hand-coloured version, measuring 24 inches by 53 inches. The plan, published during the reign of George IV, covers an area from roughly the present-day Royal Quays to the North Sea and from Albion Road to the River Tyne. At the top is a small plan of North Shields in 1787, and at the bottom right corner a detail of Tynemouth village in Elizabethan times. The plan is not only extremely detailed and accurate, but attractive to look at. I think a work of art. The whole street plan has been rotated clockwise from true north, so as to include both North Shields and Tynemouth within the rectangle. In the centre of the plan, very conveniently for us, lies the old Lowlight building. At the bottom of the plan is the key, or references. This lists from A to Z churches, public buildings and places of interest. Under inns 1 to 4 are marked the important hotels and inns where many public meetings and social events were held. In 1827 there were 120 other hotels, inns and taverns in North Shields and Tynemouth. Using a variety of hatching and shading, the authors indicated the heights of the buildings up to 5 stories. Other keys indicate thatched cottages, shops, greenhouses and stationary steam engines. The plan is very detailed, showing every building, stable, outhouse, netty, that's an outside toilet, and flight of stairs in North Shields and Tynemouth. For instance, this is a detail of the north side of Northumberland Square, showing the bow windows at either side of the terrace, together with the neat gardens at the front. Compare this with the photograph taken in 2016, where the bow windows can be seen. North Shields' origins can be traced to the first fishermen's huts or shields, which nestled around the mouth of the Pow Burn, where the present fish quay stands. At one time the burn would have been deep enough at high tide for boats to travel up as far as the present Tynemouth Road. By the time Rook surveyed the area, the Pow Burn had been partly built over by the tannery, gasworks and pottery. John Richardson's tannery was founded in 1766 on the slope which later became called Tanner's Bank. John arrived from Seg Hill, where he had farmed, bringing his entire family on horseback. His eldest son sat in front of John, his wife behind him, and 2 babies in either pocket of his coat. In 1536, the first high and low lights were erected to guide ships over the treacherous sandbar at the mouth of the river. As the river changed course, the buildings were demolished and replaced. In 1672, Clifford's Fort was constructed as a defence against the Dutch, enclosing the Lowlight within its walls. Between 1808 and 1810, the present new high and low lights were built. By 1827, the marsh salt grassed area near the Pow Burn's junction with the river had been drained and fine houses with gardens erected. The Inset Map of 1787 at the top of the plan shows a line of buildings then bordering the river bank, together with ropeworks running north across the open fields. To the right is the outline of Percy Barracks, built in 1758. In the centre of the plan, shaded red, can be seen the three sides of Dockery Square on the bank top, the first Georgian street planning on Tyneside. Little and Bell Streets were named in 1826 after Northumberland MPs Matthew Bell and the Honourable Henry Thomas Little. Union Quay and Union Street were named following the Act of Union between Great Britain and Ireland. Marked on the plan is the letter Z, which marks the house where William Woodhave, the inventor of the original lifeboat, was born. Clive Street is believed to be named after Henrietta Clive, Countess of Powys. She married Hugh Percy, son of the second Duke of Northumberland. Rope making was a major industry in North Shields. Rook's plan shows 5 roperies belonging to Mr. Hansel, Mr. Waters, Mr. Mitcalf and Mr. Linskill. 2 further rope works were later built behind Spring Terrace and in Northumberland Park. In 1763, new well-planned streets and squares of houses began to appear on the bank head where the air was cleaner. Dockery Square commenced in 1763 on land owned by Thomas Dockery, Vicar of Stamfordham, a descendant of the Dockerys, the first vicars of Christchurch. The south side was left open in order, it is said, to give the resident ship owners a view of their vessels entering and leaving the river. Toll Square, named after Edward Toll, was built around 1763 on land formerly known as High Lighthouse Closes. Bird Street and Bird Square were named after the landowner, Mr. Matthew Bird. On the left-hand side of the plan is Milburn Place, which began building in 1780. It was a fashionable place to live, despite being built next to the Ballast Hill, an accumulation of stones from sailing ships from around the world. Between 1863 and 1905, the 1 o'clock gun on top of the hill was fired by direct link from Greenwich Observatory to assist mariners in setting their chronometers. In 1796, Frederick Howard, 5th Earl of Carlisle, sold 50 acres of land for the sum of £7,000 to John Wright of North Shields, architect and builder. John Wright and his sons laid out the ground in a grid pattern which determined the future shape of North Shields. At the end of the 18th century, Quaker George Wakefield built a large mansion on the north side of what later would become Northumberland Square. The cost of the building, together with a failure of his business, broke him, and after his death the building stood empty. It was auctioned off to Messrs. Crichton and Tyzack, and the stone was reused to build the terrace on the north side of the square. In 1813, an agreement was entered into with the sons of John Wright for laying out of Northumberland Square and Howard Street. In the bottom right corner of the plan is a sketch map of Tynemouth Castle. The fortifications are shown running south from the castle gate all the way to the Spanish battery. Rook's plan reveals the line of fortifications were still visible in 1827. In Prior's Haven were warm saltwater baths. Close by, in the area marked Park, the Prior of Tynemouth once had his fish ponds. When the North Pier was built, the space was used as a blockyard. Today it's a car park. To the north of the castle, on the cliffs above the short sands, the location of Jingling Geordie's Hole can be just discerned on the plan. Jingling Geordie was said to be a cave-dwelling smuggler who set false lights to lure ships onto the rocks below the castle. The present hole is the base of one of the castle's former towers. Tynemouth village consisted of 5 or 6 streets. Tynemouth House, home of Mr. Mitkoff, now part of King's Priory School, lay just south of the Stewart's House or Manor House, home of the Duke of Northumberland's representative. In this brief talk, it's not been possible to mention all the features and stories behind the making of the plan. A booklet is on sale in the Old Lowlight, which covers matters in greater detail. A very fine reproduction of the plan, of reduced scale, is also on sale in the shop.